my favorite alchemical text, the Emerald Tablet, which teaches us that kindness is much more generous, yields more results than cruelty. The subtle is more generous than the dense. Shame is a lot of people's favorite motivator, but I personally, in my experience, I don't think it's as sustainable as kindness. Shame will only get you so far, and with shame comes fear. So when you shame yourself and you get used to shaming yourself into doing something or into being better, whenever you fail or do less or don't do as well as you'd like, there's the fear of the shame that is coming. And it just becomes this like toxic cycle that just keeps eating itself up and growing and growing. It's not sustainable. Whereas the practice in kindness with yourself, with others, is so much more sustainable because it eliminates that inner fear of yourself. You don't need to be afraid that you're going to shame yourself because you already know that that's no longer in your nature to shame yourself. You know that if something comes up a little less or not as good as you would have loved it to be or liked it to be ideally, that's okay. There's another time to try. You'll do better next time. You'll learn from this to execute better. And so there's no toxic shame, fear cycle happening when you get used to being gentle and kind with yourself. You raise the possibility of becoming a victim of your failures when you are a person who shames themselves. Because in shaming yourself, your fear grows because you fear yourself. And in fearing yourself and fearing the shame you're going to give yourself, you get stuck in that toxic cycle of shame and fear. And more often than not, despite how toxic it is, you fall in love with that toxicity. You become attached to that toxicity so that you wait for things to go wrong so that you can lament them. It becomes a source of pleasure, a painful one on the conscious level, but on the deeper level, it is a pleasure to suffer. It becomes a pleasure to lament, a pleasure to wallow in your failures and in your difficulties. There's a far cry between kindness and self-obsession. Being kind to yourself is not narcissistic. It's baseline humanity. Being kind to yourself is the most humanistic thing you can do for you. Because how are you going to be kind to others if you can't even be kind to yourself? How are you going to give to the world if you can't give to yourself? How are you going to be graceful with your lovers, with your parents, with your children, with your siblings, with your friends, if you can't even give yourself grace? And narcissism, self-obsession, is a whole other type of relation. A narcissist isn't kind to themselves. And if anything, a narcissist low-key hates themselves.